Are you folks getting tired of me talking about safety? A few people have commented that I don't come to YouTube to learn about safety, so shut up about it. I think that's really sad, but it's also kind of true. If you come to YouTube to learn safety practices, you're going to lose some fingers, because this place is full of people doing reckless stuff with power tools of all kinds. They always justify it by saying something like, I know what I'm doing, I'm a pro, which is a stupid and naive statement, considering how many pros right now, as we speak, are sitting in emergency rooms holding body parts in Ziploc bags, wondering how it actually happened to them. The worst are those who actively discourage talk of safety out of toughness or bravado. When I detailed my recent power carving accident, some of these internet tough guys called me a sissy for even talking about the pain. I've hurt myself before. You didn't see me making a video crying about it. Those folks completely missed the point. I could care less if you think I'm a panty waste. I guarantee none of you sit on that gurney laughing and having a great time while the doctors put your shredded flesh back together. It's the internet tough guys that are the real cowards. They think they're too cool to talk about it, protecting their egos instead of using their experience to help others. I'm willing to sound like a panty waste because it isn't about bravado, it's about saving fingers. We made several safety videos before my accident. This isn't something new that was inspired by my bloody incident. Just a month before I was hurt, I was in Iowa teaching safety courses. I've always been a safety conscious guy, but I still got hurt, and that is the valuable lesson I'm trying to teach. So please, regardless of your confidence or experience, give me just a few minutes of your time. Hear me out before you click away or run to the comments to set me straight. Woodworking or metalworking or construction or whatever you do with power tools, these are dangerous pursuits. We all know there's a risk of serious injury. But I don't think the reality of what that means is, well, real to many of us. It wasn't to me, despite the knowledge and experience I thought I had. I've had painful injuries before. I thought I was prepared for a serious injury like this. And maybe you think you are too. But believe me, you're not. I know you're not, because your table saw still doesn't have a splitter or riving knife on it, or you still use your jointer or your router table without push blocks. Admit it, you make an occasional narrow rip cut without a push stick because you think the chances of injury are low and it's just one cut, right? You don't really think it can happen to you. It's not truly real to you because you haven't experienced it. It's just something that happens to other people. We don't consciously say these things. We may not even be able to admit them to ourselves, but our actions sometimes speak for us. In the back of my mind, and I think this is true of many of you, if you dare to admit it, I thought of serious accidents in terms of temporary pain and inconvenience. I never wanted to cut something off, but I figured that would be extremely rare, and if it did happen, it would hurt like heck on the way to the hospital, then they'd give me some drugs, sew me back together, and modern medicine would have me back to normal before I knew it. Boy, was I wrong. If you've never had a serious shop accident, let me tell you, shredding your fingers with a power tool doesn't even hurt that much. It doesn't hurt at all for a few minutes. And then the shock wears off gradually, so you can adapt and grit your teeth and endure it. You know, put on your tough guy persona. It's the aftermath you have to worry about. And that begins a few hours later, and it lasts for days, weeks, months, or even years, depending on what you injured. You'll lose count of how many needles they stick through your fingers. I don't mean into your fingers, I mean through them. If you cut more than just skin, the emergency room is just the first stop. Then you go to specialists and surgeons who administer all new types of pain. Then you get to learn to use your fingers again through weeks or months of therapy that's based on the idea that if you can stand the pain without shouting, you're not trying hard enough. Serious power tool injuries often lead to serious pain that lasts for serious amounts of time. I'm 3 months into it and I still wear this thing 3 times a day for 30 agonizing minutes a session. Then twice a week I go pay somebody $250 a pop to fold and bend my fingers for me because only another person can truly force you beyond your pain threshold. I almost miss those needles. I know some of you are thinking I'm exaggerating or I'm some sort of wimp, but I'm not. I once shoved a chisel through my hand. I pulled it out, went into the house, I got a sewing kit. I soaked the thread and the wound in alcohol to kill the germs, and I stitched it up myself. Try pushing a sewing needle through flesh. It's not sharp and comfortable like a suture needle, so I'm not afraid of pain. But before I got really injured, I had no idea that it's not the power tool that hurts, it's the aftermath. And not all pain is physical. I had decent medical insurance that I'd already paid hundreds of dollars a month for. But this injury still cost me about as much as a nice car because, as I said, the treatments aren't a one-time thing. They've stretched now into 2 calendar years, so I've had to pay my full deductible twice. But maybe you don't have an insurance deductible or you live somewhere with fully subsidized health care. Good for you. Can you afford to be off work for a couple weeks minimum? What about a month? Remember, you probably did this in your home workshop. No workman's comp there. What if you can't do your job one-handed while you're learning to move your fingers in the evenings for 3 to 6 months? Will you lose your job? Will you lose your savings? Will you go into debt, ruin your credit, lose your home, go bankrupt? This stuff happens to people, and it's what I mean by life-changing injuries. They can sew fingers back on, they can reattach tendons, but the consequence of unsafe shop practices can follow you for years or even for life. But some of you have already made your way over to the comments to dismiss all this with a statement like, only stupid people get hurt, or an oversimplification such as, respect your tools and they'll respect you back. Your tools have no respect for you. Even if you do respect them, the moment you have a mental lapse, they will make you pay if they can. So don't have a mental lapse, right? It's that easy. After all, Bill Blowhard online was a woodworker for 50 years. He never had a serious accident because he was too smart. And whenever he saw someone who had one, he was the first to mock them for being such an idiot or to nitpick what they obviously did wrong. You know where Bill Blowhard is now? Sitting in the emergency room getting fitted for a hook and an eye patch like a pirate because after 50 years, he did something stupid too. What you've experienced in the past only proves what has happened so far. It has zero bearing on what may happen tomorrow. I knew a master woodworker with decades of experience at the highest level. He knew what his tools were capable of. He knew what not to do. He taught thousands of people to work safely. And then he cut his dang fingers off on the table saw. How does a smart guy with so much experience and knowledge cut his fingers off? It's simple. Experience and brain power are irrelevant. You may not know this, but your brain isn't perfect. You forget things. You get distracted. You say, oops, that was dumb. Have you ever ran a stop sign by mistake? Has your husband or wife ever said, red light, because you were about to go through it? Have you ever started to change lanes on a highway and someone had to honk at you? Cars can do a heck of a lot more damage than table saws. You would never treat them with anything but respect, right? Only stupid people do stupid things. Yet about 50 million people a year are injured or killed in automobile accidents. Millions of those people were the cause of the accident. How many of those considered themselves safe drivers? I don't care how long you've been a woodworker or whatever you do that puts you in contact with power tools. I don't care how much of a genius you think you are. You can have a mental lapse at any moment and do something you thought only stupid people will do. Frankly, the more experience we get, the older our brains get as well, and with age comes more brain farts. So should you be afraid of your tools? I get those comments too. People trying to avoid a serious conversation by blowing it off as sensationalism or just me trying to scare people. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to stick in your mind. I don't want you to stop using your power tools, but every time you turn one on, I want you thinking about how 1 second's lapse can lead to months, years, or a lifetime of consequences. And I want that knowledge to motivate you to learn how to use each tool properly, specifically the worst case scenarios that may happen and how to avoid injury if they do. I want you to picture your detached fingers flipping around in the sawdust next time you consider making a table saw cut without a splitter or a riving knife or a push stick, or using a router table without a push block, or an angle grinder without a blade guard, or a jointer with loose shirt sleeves, or a nail gun with the safety disabled, or a power drill with gloves on, or a chainsaw without leg protection. I want you to take a moment before you use any power tool to think about where your body parts are, what can go wrong, and how you can protect yourself if it does. And I want some of you to stop using past experience or perceived knowledge as a crutch, because someday your brain will fart. We've made about 100 videos in the last year alone. I'd say about 10 of those were specifically about safety practices. If that's too many for you, you can skip them and watch the other 90%. But we're still going to make safety videos now and again, because with all the crap I see self-appointed YouTube experts doing online, I think we need more of them, not less. Remember, it takes all your fingers to properly enjoy a cold one, once the power tools are off, of course, because you've earned it, my friend. If you've never heard of a master gauge, I'm not surprised. Paul Riley and his family don't use a lot of flashy marketing gimmicks. They just let their tools speak for themselves. You'd expect that from a guy who spent nearly half a century developing precision tools to set up and fine-tune machinery of all types. Now he shares his most clever ideas with his fellow woodworkers. Check them out at mastergauge.com. Wait, don't go yet. If you're new here, please subscribe and remember to ring the bell. I would really appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up, or better yet, leave us a comment. I always read them. And be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. It's always packed with tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker.